All right, let's finish this up. The last 15 minutes of this sock puppets meeting. The last episode, pretty much, I described what I think is going on here. The intentional destruction of the economy and the intentional destruction of the world in general is what the Build Back Better agenda is. They intentionally destroy everything so that they can build it back better. I mean, this is some incredibly evil shit that they're doing. And unless you understand the true nature of the world and who's actually running our world and how we're basically just cattle to the elites to be herded in the direction they want us, you're not gonna get us. I mean, if you actually think that these elites care about us, then I'm sorry for you. Okay, because there's no evidence that any elites anywhere care about anybody who's under their control. They don't. The elites really do believe they are a superior race, and that's the way it is, man. So they destroy the world. Now they're going to build it back better, and it's even playing out at TriMet. It's just sad. It's sad for me to watch what's happening, but not a damn thing I can do or anybody else unless there was a mass uprising. And the masses have been psyoped. Most of the people have been psyoped, and there's no way out when you have the vast majority going along with this program actually believing they're trying to protect you with these shots is hilarious. I mean, and now they want you to get shots every 6 months. It's like, yeah, right. Anyway, let's finish up this shit show. It's just very depressing.
Is informed what Jared Walker and his team produce for us, and that it's something that doesn't just look good on paper, but it's going to serve people better, specifically BIPOC and low-income people across the region. So that's my
they keep telling us this, and it's nothing but lies. It's going to help people of color and low income. It's going to be equity, inclusion, all the buzzwords that they throw at us all the time. None of it means anything, but they keep throwing the same buzzwords at us. It's very sad, folks. It's very sad. Oh, and by the way, let me show you. Here's your COVID vaccine. Mandate is coming. Okay, they keep talking about it, and they're going to examine the documents and figure out where. We're going to take our huge bureaucracy. Look, all this gobbledygook means nothing. It means that you're going to be mandated to get their vax. And I don't know how many people are going to comply and how many people are going to say, fuck this, man. Most people are complying. They have to. They don't have a choice. They need their living. They can't just give up their jobs. They have families. So they got you over the barrel. The global elites got us. The worldwide banking cartel, which is the real worldwide government, has got us over the barrel, and they're going to reshape this world in the image they want. And it doesn't matter how many of us die. It's just irrelevant to them. It's nothing to them. And it's just very sad. I'm just very sad about the state of the world and what they've done. I mean, there was a time that I thought the evil was transcended. After the Nazi era, we thought we were going to have some enlightenment, and there was for Americans from the 50s to the 60s to the 70s, right up to about where Reagan came in, and they turned the American public against itself. And now we're in decline, and there's no way to get back. And I've just given up on the whole thing. I don't care. I'm done. I'm done. I'm just going to finish up my life here. I can't travel. I can't go. Fuck it. I'm done. Not getting their shot. I'm not getting their passport. If they try to force it on me, well, they'll get a gun in their face and I'll have to go down fighting. I'm not taking your vaccine. Not not now, especially. Not now, especially. After they are making this a government fascist attempt to force everybody through fascism and totalitarianism to do this. Now I'll never do it just because of that, okay? Just from that reason alone, I'd rather be dead. I don't care if I get the COVID. So what? What's left in this world now? Service to your masters. That's what they want, and that's what they're going to get. But I won't be here. I'm not going to comply with their mandates. No way.
My intention with this, and we're excited to go. It's just going to be a lot of work, but everything you're saying resonates deeply with me in my heart.
Okay. Let's go on to Director Gonzalez.
Yeah, this is very disturbing. This is very disturbing. I find this whole, because they pulled this off in secret. They made this decision in their little offices amongst themselves to do what they're doing. There was no public input here. This was them making the decisions. The true nature of government becomes clear when you watch this, that they've made all the decisions and you're going to do what we tell you, even at this level. We're not going to restore your bus. We already had bus service. We already had our system laid out. We're going to redo the whole thing now. And the reason they're redoing it is because it gives them work, gives them a paycheck. And it's completely pointless. But they're going to get away with it because nobody cares about TriMet number one. And the people that do care about TriMet are powerless. We have no way to do anything. We can't stop them. Nobody can, really. Even people with connections can't stop them. Never. So you think a little obscure blogger has any influence? Of course I have no influence. We have no influence. All we can do is watch. We can just watch the shit show.
Thank you very much.
Now let's hear what Ozzy has. This should be good. Because he probably has the actual best understanding of the material, but he's not going to do what needs to be done either. He's going to play the role that they all play.
And Simmons, I wanted to share a little bit of perspective on this matter, as well as represent District 2 in some comments. First off, I come from this industry, so I know Dr. Walker's work. I've interacted with him briefly. Not sure he would remember. I know parametrics as well, and I'm familiar with the individuals working on this stuff. I feel thrilled that they're coming forward to help us through this process. I wanted to just provide the context. While Dr. Walker lives in Portland, I think his website, his company, and his value proposition caters to an international audience.
Yeah.
I don't think it's really structured to try to kind of speak on the terms of how we speak of equity work here in Portland, Oregon.
Look at them. There's some giant fucking conglomerate, man. I mean, who are we? Let's see, 50 years. Let's see who they are.
It's amazing just to think about when we first started. Never had a dream or even a thought that it would be 50 years. I was 27 at the time, George was 29. Well, we didn't have a business plan, we didn't have a bank loan, and we didn't have any clients. But through some hard work and late nights, it worked.
It's been exciting to be a part of what has happened here at Parametrics over the last 50 years and play a part in what we have done to help shape communities through the work that we do.
I'm really proud of Jeff and the crew. They're doing such a great job, and I was really proud that in the early 2000s we were the National ESOP Company of the Year. We were the top 3 companies to work for in the state of Washington. So there's a whole raft of things, but I'm really proud of the folks here. They've done a magnificent job.
Engineering planning. Yeah. We are engineers, scientists, planners, surveyors, construction managers, dedicated to providing excellent service. We are employee owners who have a stake in the company. Well, that's a good thing. We are passionate about every project. What do they do? What are they going to do? What the hell are they going to do, I wonder?
And I would encourage anyone who had the opportunity to discuss this with him in person. I feel confident he'd run circles around us in really talking about the human lens, the humanistic lens, and to be able to see it from more than just one perspective. Frankly, I have full faith in.
See, now what are they trying to say here, man? This is they're going to rebuild your transit system. We don't know why they're doing this. They're just doing it. They haven't explained it. They just said, okay, we have to rebuild this system now. It's just out of the blue.
In that ability.
And nobody even knows this is going on except me and 5 other people. Okay, nobody even knows it's happening. It's like a giant secret. I mean, they don't advertise it. I didn't know this was going on until now. I didn't read it anywhere. And I'm always reading the TriMet stuff that gets posted. They didn't say anything about this anywhere.
I'll stop there. I don't want to inflate his ego more than is necessary at this point. I know he's already got one that barely fits in Portland, and I look forward to seeing him again in person soon.
Yes, Ozzy.
But having said all of that, I want to acknowledge that this work is very important. I'm really glad we've got some capable people at the helm, and I'm thrilled that TriMet's going to be there to make sure our language access plans, our community.
It's all garbage. It's all garbage. It's all nothing. You see that, right? This is all nothing. Has no effect on anybody except the people that are going to be doing it. Has no effect on anything. You know, as one of my favorite Twitter users, he goes by the name of Headways Matter, says, run more buses and trains. This is not right. Run more buses and trains. That's all you need to do in this fucking field. But they can't do that. They have to have all of these consultants and these studies and these meetings and these public, it just goes on, and blue ribbon committees. They can't do what they need to do. They're doing everything else.
Community partners are leveraged to the greatest extent.
Community
now,
partners.
I want to make sure to emphasize one thing about this transit planning. We are, I'm representing District 2, which is, has all of downtown and has a lot of areas that are...
Downtown gets more service than it needs. That's where all the service is concentrated.
Some of the lowest walkability scores in the region.
What, downtown?
And I know Director Simmons also has areas that, and Director Kim also has areas where we have some of the lowest walkability scores in the entire transit metro region. Director Y, you also have some areas. I want to emphasize that when, that little person that was on 122nd and Gleason in the graphic, not only has to depart from an area, but also has to arrive to a destination. And the impact to looking at walkability scores as another layer for this drives us to really look at some areas that in the last few years haven't been a focus point, frankly. There's something about District 2 that doesn't get a whole lot of love when we're talking about how to expand service. And I get it. No one's bleeding for the folks in the hills, but at the same time, the topography isn't going to change. The context of people is changing. The need for mobility with public transportation is still there. And so I encourage us to really look at walkability scores as another one of the driving factors here. At the end of the day, we want a system that is going to meet the needs of folks across all parts of society. And to be frank, there's a...
Look, they don't have another meeting till December 15th. What's the fucking point of having any meetings, you fucking idiots? Why don't you just tell look, we make a decree that the general manager shall do anything he wants, and we're going to forget these meetings that mean nothing. I was trying to find out where the goddamn District 2 is.
A lot of room for improvement in the low walkability score neighborhoods, where it's not easy to get a cup of coffee, it's not easy to get a loaf of bread, and even if you're going to, try to get groceries to and fro the places in the District 2 edges,
District 2.
We don't really have options for public transit very well. I encourage us to really look at that, and I'm sure the parametrics team and our consultants will be looking at many factors. But I bring this really to staff and to our consultant team and to the public at large. We really are looking for a comprehensive service plan that is recognizing that, whether you live in the ghetto or the hills, you should be able to interact with both. I want to.
This garbage, complete garbage, Ozzy. Sorry, Ozzy. Just talk, rambling nothing. You're reinventing the wheel. You don't need to be doing any of this. It's complete nonsense. Okay, you just decided, your executive staff decided you're going to reinvent the wheel, probably at the behest of the Build Back Better agenda, where they destroy the world so that they can build it the way they want it. And that's what you're doing. And everybody else gets screwed. You get things your way, as always. Government continues being the greatest parasite on the people. Will people ever wake up to it? I doubt it.
Go to 122nd and Gleason. I want my friend from 122nd and Gleason to come over as well. And both of those ends of the routes are important places to consider. So I think it's an important thing. I think that the work we're about to do is wonderful. I'm glad we have the right folks. And I just want to acknowledge that, there's a lot of areas that we have not considered the highest priority for some time for very logical reasons. But we're now turning the corner and looking at a vision that's looking forward. And
see, he's talking gibberish. They're trying to, I don't know what they're coming up with this. It's like, what are you trying to say? You had no service before, and now we're going to change our no service into something better. I don't know, this is the biggest load of garbage I've seen.
There's young folks, old folks, working folks, retired folks in all of the areas of the TriMet region. And it's not just the choice rider versus the
choice riders are gone, Ozzy. All right, they ain't coming back unless you had like the greatest 5-minute service so you could guarantee everybody. And you're not going to do that. You can't even get drivers. You have the opposite of a transit system right now.
Independent rider that I think we want to kind of juxtapose in the lens here. So I'm really excited we're doing this, and I hope that in the process we're able to hear from all of these different facets of voices that in the end agree to this common idea that we want a public system that we can rely on, that will...
See, he's talking nonsense. He's talking like, well, we have no transit system, so we're going to invent one. That's what it sounds. They're like, well, how do we set up a transit system here? Well, I got news for you guys. You had a transit system. All you had to do was restore it. But no, you're going to take all that fat money they gave you with the feds, and you're going to distribute it among all of your fat cat cells and your fat cat consultants and come up with some nonsense that wasn't needed. Typical government fucking crap.
Get us to the places we want to go and need to go.
What a fucking garbage.
Thank you, Director Gonzalez. Director Bauman.
Yes, thank you. I want to first say to all the board members, now that TriMet's going to be taking a comprehensive look at our service, I encourage every one of you to get Jarrett Walker's book, Human Transit. It really is extremely instructive on how transit planning occurs and kind of best practices on, what's an efficient and effective bus system. So it's geography and it's a lot of other elements, things that maybe will surprise you about how transit planning occurs. So I first off would absolutely encourage every board member to read Human Transit. Jarrett Walker did make a presentation to the board at one of our retreats a few years ago, and he is the man. He lives in Selwood. He got his start at TriMet as a planner. But he now, as everyone has indicated, is internationally known, and I know that or a lot of transit agencies in the country are doing what we're doing, which is rethinking their service after COVID. And I'm sure
you destroyed your service. All you had to do is bring it back, but that's not what you're going to do. They destroyed, I'm going to say it over and over because it's become obvious to me what's happened. They destroyed the world so they can remake it the way they want. We're in very bad times here, people. Not only do we have to face with the totalitarianism of a government out of control, but we have to deal with shit like this where they've destroyed their infrastructure so that they can build some jobs for themselves to rebuild their infrastructure. It's very depressing. I'm very depressed over all of this. What a terrible thing they've done. And they have all of these overpaid technocrats in TriMet. See, this is how people will often say, well, how do those trains get to the gas chamber? Well, guess what? They had a bunch of high-paid technocrats getting the pay, getting the status to keep those trains running, and they were doing it at the behest of of Hitler, I guess, in this case. I don't know who the New World Order figures are behind these scenes. The oligarchs have gotten much smarter in terms of who's pulling the strings here. I mean, is it that fucking Otto guy, that fucking guy that looks like he's from a goddamn villain movie? I mean, who is pulling the strings here?
He is in demand everywhere, so I'm actually really pleased that he's able to work with us. So thank you too.
And the whole idea that one man is somehow going to be able, and nobody else, just him, is going to be able to come up with, this is garbage. It's garbage. It's like hero worship. It's like bow down before the idol of Jarrett Walker. It's like he's some kind of brilliant, unbelievable brain. You know how I feel about him. I already talked about it.
To everyone who got him on, Jarrett Walker and his firm on board. I am going to talk about District 4 for just a moment. My district, Southeast Portland, and a little bit of Milwaukee. And it's interesting to look at that trolley map for 1943 because so many of our bus lines in Southeast Portland follow some of those trolley lines, just as Grant indicated. It was very interesting to me to kind of dig into that. So we are surely way overdue for a really comprehensive and deep look into where people need to go and how best we serve the folks in our community.
Oh, I know. Okay. While she's been talking, I've been reading a little bit of his book. Okay. Now I figured it out. It's amazing how I can figure out. So Jarrett's going to come in. I see what he's going to do. This is what he's been doing around the country. Okay. They bring him in, and I told you this before. They bring him in to take the heat off of themselves. They bring him in as kind of like, this is the most brilliant man to ever walk the earth when it comes to this public transit. So it just came to me when I was reading his stuff here, exactly what he's going to do. He is going to cut all the low frequent lines and boost up the high frequent. That's what he's going to do. That's what he's done every fucking place he set his foot in. I know this because I follow this material. I know exactly what's going to happen. Mark my words. That's what they're going to do. They're going to end all the low ridership lines. That's what they're going to do. And they're going to use him as the fall guy. He's going to come up with the plan. And yes, okay, it all came clear to me. Mark my words, I will bet you I am correct on this. All the low frequency lines are going to go away. And this is another, the pandemic is an excuse to do all of this that they wanted to do, but they didn't want to piss off, the pandemic, an artificially created crisis, 2% death rate. Most people actually survive without any help. You don't need ivermectin or anything. You survive on your own immune system. But they've painted the picture like, oh my God, if you get it, you're going to die. Complete lie. They've closed the entire world down. Never in history has there been a lockdown of healthy people ever in history of man. So you are in a new world order period here, folks. I hope you can understand where you're at, because this is a point of history inflection that is either going to go one of two ways. We're going to be completely turned into robots and slaves, or if enough people rise up, we're going to get rid of these oligarchs. Unfortunately, the oligarchs have got the upper hand here.
Commuting patterns have changed. Places where people go for public services, for medical services, for education, those have all changed.
No, they have not changed. The universities are still there. The medical centers are still there. None of this stuff is true. That's not true. She just lied to you. She's trying to say everything has changed. No, it hasn't. The only change has been you locked it down and you put a lot of places out of business. But the hospitals are still where they are. The schools are still where they are. Nothing has moved. So it's almost like they were coached in what to say here. It's almost like they were given a script. Here, you must say this.
Over the decades. So I couldn't be happier that we're undertaking this effort, and please
you couldn't
know.
be happier that you're going to destroy the service for some people. They have no ethics at all. None of these people. They're all career. There are no ethics. These are all elites. They live in a separate world. And it's just horrible to watch this playing out in front of me. I can't believe I'm watching it.
The board is behind you, and we're really excited to hear what happens.
When has the board not been behind you? The board is specifically there to support the general manager and all of what he wants to do. That's the only purpose of the board. They don't have any other purpose but that. And that's the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth. They're not there for you. They are there to protect the executive staff. And that's what they've been doing. In the 20 years I've been watching this, that's exactly what they've been doing. For the entire time I've been watching this.
I'll share some comments as well. I think it's important for everybody to remember that ridership was on decline before the pandemic.
Yes, correct.
And
correct, Linda.
When you look at what the future for public transportation is, and the way
Let me just stop her right there, because the reason that happened was they got rid of this world. They had this world-class bus system. I was actually operating buses in the height of their world-class bus system when the bus mall was just for buses. It was an unbelievable sight to behold, all the buses going through there and how efficient that was. How you could go anywhere in the TriMet region from that bus mall. Okay. That was all dismantled for the light rail agenda, which is another example of the oligarchs destroying something that was working and creating something else that they could make money on. Okay, so we're seeing this pattern over and over. The oligarchs keep figuring out ways to steal tax money. So let's get rid of the bus and start trains, because we can make billions of dollars putting in trains. Now they're going to do this. They're going to make billions of dollars from all that federal money, redesigning something that didn't need to be redesigned. It's just a giant scam. The purpose of government is crime. And these people are all collaborators in that. Let's hear what she says, though, because she did mention, and that was true, transit ridership was decreasing because you had a bad system.
Systems were developed and why. The world, as everyone has said, and thank you, Director Gonzalez, I totally agree with you in terms of everything that you've said.
Yeah.
There are deserts out there that would like to have some service, but they're not easy to, and they may be hills as well.
They're not going to get any service.
They're
not going to get any service. I already know what Jared Walker's going to do because I've seen him do it. Okay, I already know what he's going to do. All you have to do is pay attention to know what's going to happen here. I know nobody's paying attention, but I'm paying. One little guy out, not even in Oregon anymore, marooned in Massachusetts thanks to the COVID world order. I wanted to be there. My whole life is still there. All my friends are still there. I talk to all my, I still, even though I'm physically here, I'm still actually there. It's the strangest thing I've ever could have expected. I already know what's going to happen here because I've seen Jarrett Walker play out in other cities. And I know what he's going to do.
Easy to serve. And one of the things I've experienced on the board is that if you have service, it's easier to get more frequent service. But if you don't have service, there's a long line waiting for it. And that's just because, everybody who has it wants more.
Well, wait a minute. Come on, Linda. Are you dumb? If you're going to have the service, you have to have the service that's actually service. Once an hour service, 1.5 hour service is not service, especially since you don't have backup drivers. You never had backup. They never had backup drivers. Way back in the old days when I was there, 20 fucking years ago now, I was driving an 88 on a Sunday, and it was like once an hour service. And one of the buses broke down, and then they had no replacement because they don't believe in backup drivers. And then I finally show up, and there's been like no service for 2 hours. Okay, so people can't rely on that. If you don't have service, you don't provide. The light rail is basically the only service you can rely on. Even that breaks down all the time. Or a frequent service line. All the other lines, they might as well just get rid of them anyway. Of course, that will destroy people's lives because people have been living. I saw them do that on a 67. People lived out on that area where I drove. It was 7 days a week, and they cut out the weekends, and that fucked over dozens of people. They did it, and they just did it unilaterally. And I have a whole bunch of videos that I actually did of people talking about that. And that's when I became like a real TriMet advocate after I saw how they were just rolling people over.
Question that I've asked the agency in all of the 5 years that I've been on the board is what's a reasonable commute time? When you look at that drawing and see that it would take 2 hours to get someplace close, it would take forever to get here, but they could go all the way across town in less time. And we've had people come to board meetings and talk about the fact that there's no east-west connection in certain areas of the state or the region, and how frustrating that is, since everything was originally designed thinking everybody wanted to come downtown Portland. And for a transit system to really work, you have to understand, particularly in today's day, with the expanding of where people live and work, that they may want it for more reasons than just work. And I know Director Way and I have shared frustration of wanting service in areas that we represent that have minimal service, and how hard it is to actually get some service. So it's not a criticism of the service that we've had. It's just other agencies, other transit agencies around the country have done this type of analysis and have significantly increased ridership. Significantly.
Not really. That's not true. Not true. Sorry, she's lying about that. Not true. Not true. Sorry, she's wrong.
And so it's something that I think it's more than just looking at service enhancement, because to me that means if you've got service, you get service. It's where do we need to be providing service? And where will people, where I live, people don't expect it, so, they can't talk about what their needs are as well. So, I think there's a whole lot that we're going to gain as an agency on the basis of this analysis. And I will conclude my chatter and turn it over to J.C. Veneto.
President Simmons, that was very well put. And I think to answer a little bit of your question, what is an appropriate commute? What is that? And I think it's something that we as a...
they don't know anything about it. None of these people are transit dependent or transit riders. They're technocrats. They don't have that answer to that. They don't know.
Region need to understand and decide. I don't think it's a TriMet question because, it's definitely that policy at the regional level. But I would also note that when we as a region begin to prioritize transit, what does that look like? In the city of Portland and Clackamas County ODOT, some of our partners are really helping us do that with...
Now, just listen to these people is funny. TriMet had a world-class, they really had a world-class system at one time, and the technocracy ruined it. And the same technocracy is still in charge of this transit system. These unaccountable, unelected people are still in charge, and that means you are fucked. The only thing I can recommend is if you are reliant on transit, you get yourself located near a light rail line where it goes from your house to your job on the light rail. Okay, because that's the one service they're going to keep going. They'll pull the buses off the goddamn bus routes to bail out the rail riders. Okay, the bus riders are second-class citizens all the way around here. They'll be hurt first. Okay, we've seen it play out many times. They just pull buses off routes, leave people stranded, so that the people that are waiting for the light rail can get service. So not only do the light rail people get fucked over, but so do the bus riders. And they have no way. They're not going to have backup drivers because they don't believe in that. They believe in pork barrel contracts, but not backup drivers.
Lanes that advance buses, and we're working with many of them to do more of that. In fact, we've earmarked some extra money to begin working on further corridors where we can enhance transit. Us going beside or faster than traffic. So it's really that kind of policy at a very much a regional.
See how he's getting good. He's getting better at saying a lot without saying anything. Now he's been. I don't like this guy, just so you know, because he played a role in the setup of Lane Jensen. I don't forgive anybody who played a hand in the railroading of Lane, and he's one of them.
Level, I know that with the comprehensive service analysis, with all the data that Jared has and or will get, we'll start to understand that a little bit better. And
if you don't, how insulting! You don't know your own. With all the data he'll get, you don't have your data, huh? You're lying or you're stupid. One or the other. Probably lying.
That could potentially inform a much broader discussion at the regional level about what the optimum commute is.
Right, exactly.
He didn't answer the question. He just talked. That's what they do.
And I was so happy to see General Manager Dessou along I-5 from where 217 enters I-5 going south. There are bus on shoulder signs and marking now that allow transit.
I thought that was only between Wilsonville and Portland on I-5. Really? How come I haven't heard about this? Well, wait a minute. There's no buses that actually go on 217 other than deadheading buses. What is she talking about?
We're not going on it because it's not part of our route, but it gets people to Wilsonville so much faster. And I know when they redesign roadways and things, ODOT is being more mindful of the need.
ODOT is the most corrupt agency in Oregon. Okay, ODOT is horrible, absolutely horrendous.
To provide some priority for transit. Other questions or comments?
I just want to say thank you about the bus on shoulder. We're having that conversation at JPAC as well about Highway 26 and bus on shoulder there with ODOT. So more to follow.
Why don't you do that? Why didn't you do that 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 5 years ago? Why is it now? You've destroyed your system, and now you're going to find out whether you can do it.
Great.
Hurry up and do it. Stop talking about it.
Well, if there are no more comments or questions, this has been excellent. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Grant. And more information to come. And I'm sure that the board will be really involved in getting updates as well as participating in the forums and giving some feedback. So with that, I think we'll conclude. I did want to mention that we don't have a formal board meeting in November, but we do have some education sessions that are scheduled. And our next board meeting is December 15th at 9 a.m. and it will continue to be virtual. I am talking with staff now about the January board meeting being in person, and that all depends on things continuing to improve.
All the transit workers are in packed buses, but you're not meeting in person. So here you have another example of the elites living one way and you're being forced to live another way. You know, just over and over and over, you see how you're the serf class, they're the ruling class. You're reminded of that constantly.
Prove the way they are. And one of the goals that I have, and I hope the rest of the board will support this, is that we take our meetings out into the community. That we go to different parts of the region and draw people in. That it's not convenient for them to get downtown to wherever we are. So I'll be working with staff to identify places around the region that would support our meeting and try to invite different members of the community in to meet with us, and both prior to
a little sideshow. It's all smoke and mirrors. Meeting with them is just a waste of time. You know, it's the technocrats that run everything. It's not these people. They just rubber stamp everything for the technocrats.
The meeting, and then during the meeting to give us local feedback and perspective about what the needs are. So that's all I have for today. So for the good of the order, I just want to wish you well and wish you a good day. And I hope if you are in a neighborhood where there are lots of goblins on Sunday, that you'll be prepared to provide them with some treats. So thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Let me look. I'm just looking at I don't know. Who is that woman anyway? All right. Jesus. All right. Well, I'm sorry. It's just a bad situation for you guys. Over and out.